Welcome to this episode of Hampton Roads Business Live. My name is Rory Graham and I'm your host, and today we have the pleasure of having with us Stephanie Dudley from Personal Touch Services. Welcome, Stephanie.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, that's Personal Touch Services. Now, at first when I heard the name, I thought maybe you were, I'm not sure exactly what I thought, but I was kind of thinking you might be a hairstylist or something, but you actually are in restoration services, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, can you give us a overview of what your company does?
Sure. We specialize in fire, water, smoke, storm damage restoration, as well as mold remediation, lead renovation, and we're a Class A builder. So that gives us the rights to do anything to a home from the ground up, anything with foundation or structural issues, anything all the way up to the roof. We can build a whole new home for you. We can take a home that's been destroyed and put it back together. Or we can take anything, if you were trying to do an addition or a renovation and you find mold or find out that your home's older than 1977 and you have lead paint. We can come in and we can take care of all of that in one company without having to call in this person, call in that person, stop the job, and keep going over the same details again. You only have one person to deal with, and we can take care of everything with your home.
So that also would eliminate finger pointing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. All right, and so let's talk about a little bit, break that down a little bit. You were telling me something very interesting. It's called you have a sublimation machine for document restoration.
Yes, sir.
Can you explain that? I mean, you already told me, but go ahead and explain what that is, because I thought that was pretty fascinating.
It's a type of deep freezer that we are able to put wet documents into, whether they're one by one, a yearbook, a couple of pictures, or even if it's a whole case full of papers. We can stick that into our sublimation machine, our dry freezer, and extract the water over a 2 to 4 week period where we increase the temperature by about 5 to 10 degrees each day. It's a very slow increase, so as the temperature warms up a little bit, it extracts that water from the paper documents and prevents any further deterioration. But we're only able to do that if we are able to get to the paper material within a 24 to 48 time frame. After that, it could be too far deteriorated to restore. But that's why we like to tell people, if you do have any kind of water damaged document, then you want to put them in the freezer. Put them in the freezer immediately, because that way it stops any further water deterioration. We put them in our sublimation machine and return it back in a completely restored form where it's not crunching in your hands, it's not falling apart. We've even restored over a 100-year-old family heirloom Bible with a leather case around it. And the family was so ecstatic when we were able to do that. And insurance almost always takes care of that for you.
Okay, and you're one of the only companies that does that in the area?
Yes,
right?
All the way up to Richmond. We are the only company with 3 sublimation machines in-house. So we don't have to ship them out to Chicago or to Texas and pay that extra cost of shipping them frozen and wait
worrying
extra
about
time.
It being shipped too.
Yes,
So, yeah.
because with the Postal Service, there's anything could happen these days.
Don't get me started. Okay. All right, and I guess that's a pretty frequent thing that happens in this area, because we have, tail end of hurricanes and northeasters and all kinds of storm problems and flooding, and Norfolk floods at a drop of a hat. So, I mean, you all see a lot of that, right? Storm damage?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Is that pretty much the biggest thing you do?
Yes. Storm, and I have to say mold remediation nowadays, especially from previous storms leaving water left over that homeowners don't know about, or in places that homeowners wouldn't check as often. Then mold can begin to grow and it just festers, and until somebody finds it, it's going to just keep growing as long as it has the material it needs, like a wet, damp space, and the food, like any kind of wood or paper or those kind of products that are easily taken over by mold.
Now that can make you sick too.
Yes.
Okay.
But we never give advice on anybody who thinks they're sick from mold, because that is something that only your doctor should tell you about. Your doctor should say yes or no, this is from a mold, or yes or no, this is you're sick from something else. We personally do not give medical advice on that.
So
but
that's
you can get sick
so
from
that's
it.
no on doctor. Okay. All right. Okay, so you had down here, does bleach take care of mold? That's a good question.
That is something that we find a lot with, especially here lately, with a lot of phone calls coming in of saying people have mold and they've used a washcloth and some bleach to take it out, but then it comes back, or it's grown in other spots around the area where they've cleaned. All that bleach does is take the color out. It kills other bacteria, but not fungus like mold. Mold is only going to be able to get, you're only able to get rid of mold by completely taking it out of the home, or by sanding it down and putting a type of agent over it that seals it, it's called a sealant, not an agent, but a sealant. And that will prevent any further mold from growing. It kills all the spores and everything. But for most people, they really think bleach is all they need, and it just keeps going and they keep getting sick and they don't know why. We really want to make sure people understand bleach is not the answer for mold.
Okay. Now, you talked about something else when we were on the phone. You talked about an infrared camera that you use.
Yes.
Because that had a lot of uses.
It definitely does.
Okay, tell us about that.
Well, the infrared camera that we have is able to detect temperature differences. So we can use it for quite a few things. We've actually had a commercial property where we come out and check the condos, and it's at sunrise, because as the sun comes up, the temperature is changing, the heat from your home versus the air outside. And with this infrared camera, we're able to scan the roofs and the homes to look for leaks in the pipe collars or through the shingles, or if there's another problem, as well as if you've had a water damage. As soon as water touches drywall or if it touches insulation, it will change the temperature. And when you look through with this infrared camera, you can see the color difference. And when you see that color difference, it minimizes how much you need to spend to fix that. You don't need to take out a whole wall to find the area that's messed up. You can just take out a 4x4 area, and that's able to see that. And the infrared camera also helps us with two other things. If there's a spot where you cannot see, but you've had a leak over and over and over again, it's going to leave a different temperature. So we can find leaks that people can't see themselves or can't figure out where they're coming from, as well as looking for termites. The chemicals that are in the termite's gut that comes into their saliva when they are eating, it shows off a different color temperature. So we're able to theoretically look for termites. That's not what we specialize in, but when we're there, we like to do a full service kind of contract where we take a look at everything and let you know if there's any kind of damages.
Okay, and okay, so let's say, not just on that, but on all your services, let's say someone has a tree fell on their roof. Okay, so they have rain and water damage somewhat. So they call you. What's the process?
Well, we have a 24-hour emergency line, so we can come out, or you will always get a person on the phone. And then depending on if the storm is still going on or if it has passed, we won't send any of our employees out in dangerous winds. So that's the first thing. But once the winds have died down, we can send out our employees, and we have a 2-hour response time to be on site. We would call who we need to with, for example, a tree coming down. We would call a company to cut the tree in pieces and pull it off the house. We would tarp the house to prevent any further damages from coming on. And then at that time, we would talk with the homeowner on what they would like to do to continue. Would they like their insurance to continue to have us to do the rest of the work because we are a full service company? Or do they want us to just mitigate and stop the damages and then let somebody else come in behind us and finish and put everything back together?
Does the insurance company make the decisions as to who you hire, or is that usually the homeowner's decision?
It is primarily the homeowner's decision. The homeowner can say, I would like this company or I would like that company. Whereas the insurance agent can say, well, we have a list of these few companies if you would like to choose one. But from the next step after, if the homeowner chooses the company, the only thing the insurance from that point does is say yes or no, continue to take care of this because it is covered, or no, that's not covered. But emergency services, especially during a storm, are always covered.
Okay, well, that's good to know. Okay. And you mentioned that you're a Class A builder, and what that meant is that you can handle pretty much anything that you need to fix.
Yes.
So, not only stop the damage, but repair the damage.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
We make it look better than new.
Better than new. Okay. All right.
A lot of times homeowners like a little bit of changes, so then that's why it ends up better than new.
Okay. All right, now sometimes it's not storm damage. Sometimes it could be a broken pipe, or it could be fire or something like that. So it doesn't have to be storm damage. I mean, you do any kind of restoration.
Correct.
Okay. And if you can't fix it, you just tell them we can't fix it. I mean, if we, for instance, if the carpet's too far gone, you're not going to clean it. You're not going to be able to restore it. Then you tell them get new carpet.
Correct.
Right? Okay. All right.
We're true and honest with the homeowner. We've been there, we've been through it, and as a family-owned company, we've seen so many things. I've been with my parents for the last 10 years, and I've seen every type of damage you can think of and how devastating it gets. And people don't understand how much it really affects them, and being that comfort zone, being that person they can talk to who's been there, who knows what's going on, who can tell them what to say to the insurance company, how to handle the insurance company, and how to handle their home. That's really what gives us the pride in being the personal touch service.
I see. Okay, because you just stepped on my next question. I was going to ask you about personally growing up in this business, because you told me on the phone that you've done everything in this business from the bottom up, and that's a great way to learn a company. But so you pretty much stole my thunder there on that last question. But you have been through every part of this company, as far as being out there in the field to what you're doing now.
I started cleaning fire damages with chem sponges in the walls and the ceilings, and let me tell you about that back-breaking work. And I've also been underneath homes in Tyvek suits with a respirator, sanding mold off of beams of a house that wasn't even completely finished being built yet. It was near the ocean front, and we had to sand all this mold off the underneath of the house and then come in and spray it with, back then we had a different chemical, but what we would use now would be congrobium, and that would prevent further mold growing. But then I've pulled siding off of houses, I've been on roofs, I've tried pulling out windows, and I'm not as great with windows and doors as I am with the fire and the mold, but I've done a little bit of everything out in the field. I came up as office manager assistant, and then I was office manager for a while. And at that time, I worked 5 days a week and went to school at Old Dominion 4 nights a week. So I didn't have a whole lot of time to focus on the company or on my studies. So we hired an office manager, and I stepped over into human resources, where I kind of did a little bit of everything still, if I was needed in the field or if I was needed to help the office manager. And then once I graduated from Old Dominion in 2011, I stepped into the executive assistant role, which is where I do our cash flows, I do our projections for the year, I do inventory, customer service, I do still work in the field, I do our networking and marketing. I also help with our Xactimate estimating software, and I put jobs together. I go out and help sell jobs. I've got my hands in just about every part of the company, so I can give a real-life experience to any customer or any person who's interested and let them know exactly what we do.
Well, sounds like you're a busy lady. Wow. Okay. All right. Well, I think you've probably realized there's a lot to running a company.
Oh, yes.
More than most people realize. So when they first start to do it, they go, "Oh, well, I can do this," and then they get into it and go, "Wow, I had no idea." So that's good. Sounds like you're doing a good job. And I wanted to end, or at least my part of this is end with the fact that you have won the Small Business of the Year award.
Yes,
Well,
we're
congratulations.
so excited.
That's quite an honor, and that's for Chesapeake,
Yes,
right?
for the city of Chesapeake.
City of Chesapeake. Okay, and was that a surprise?
Yes.
Yeah.
Not only are we the first and only restoration company to win this, but our kind of luck is we always work hard for a little bit of return, which is life. But in this instance, the return was so great that it brought tears to everybody's eyes. I mean, it has been something that we are so proud of this year that we keep boasting about, and we hope to have a big celebration when we hit our full 25 years. Next year with the City of Chesapeake, we're in the workings of having a large celebration. But to win that Small Business of the Year award was really, it really said something about what we do. Being in business for 24 years on our own, we're not a franchise.
Right.
My parents started knocking on doors, their neighbors' doors, with one van, and now we have 11 fleet vehicles. They had 3 to 4 employees, and now we have 16 employees, and we have a warehouse. Just the way that we have grown, the way we have taken care of our customers, who we've been out to the community, how we've helped the community, that them saying that they recognize that from us was just unfathomable. It was wonderful.
Well, I think that, you know, what you give out tends to come back to you. It doesn't always come back from the exact person that you gave it to, but when you do a good job for a company, for your community, when a company does that, first of all, they stay in business, which most don't make it 5 years. I think it's like 80% don't make it. And then 10 years is another goal, you know. So you've done quite well, way better than most. But you don't do that by accident. And you have to have raving fans. You have to have customers that keep coming back to you, and you have to be providing a quality service, so you'll never stay there. Especially in today's world where you're in competition with so many people. So obviously you're doing a lot right, and so I congratulate you on the Chesapeake Award.
Thank you.
Is there anything that I have not mentioned that you wanted to talk about, or did I forget anything?
We do so much. I'm trying to make sure we've covered everything.
Okay.
I guess the only thing that I would like to add is that, well, one of the reasons we did win the Small Business of the Year Award for Chesapeake was how we take care of our customers. And one of the main things that we do as an overall company for the overall customer is towards the end of the year, which it comes back from last year up to this year, we call all of our previous customers and we ask, how is the service we did for you? How is the work? Are you happy? Is there anything you'd like us to look at? Anything that we may have forgotten? And then, would you like to receive one of our holiday calendars if there's nothing we can do for you right now? And in that way, we follow up with every single customer and we make sure they're happy, even up to a year later, which they know all of our services are as they know all of our services are a year warranted. So that way, if they have any problems, I give them a call before they might possibly forget, or one of our other office ladies give them a call, and that way we can take care of the problem before the warranty expires. So we really want
It's
them
better
to.
than waiting till the week after and say, son of a gun, I should have talked to you last week. So that's very nice. That's very good. It's a good follow-up procedure.
We want to give quality work, and we want to follow up with that quality work.
Right. Okay. Well. Apparently, you do quality work because you've been in business a long time and still receiving awards for it. So, all right. Well, if you have a need, whether you have storm damage, well, let me just read the storm damage, fire damage, water, mold remediation, lead testing, or smoke damage and odor control, any of those problems that you have that you would like a expert to take a look at and see about restoring, or you have some old documents that have gotten wet in a storm and you would like them restored, give Stephanie a call. Her contact information is at the end of this video and also on this page. And I thank you very much for coming in, and it was very interesting, and it's an interesting field. I bet it's different all the time, huh?
It's always changing.
Yeah, well, that makes your job interesting. So and it
Definitely.
sounds like you do a lot of things to keep it interesting and changing all the time. All right, so thank you very much for coming in. I wish you a lot of success.
Thank you.
Thank you.